Neither Canada or USA are saying that the drug border conflict is about out loud, so I guess I'll do it. This is from a little while ago now, January 30th, but I thought it was still worth doing. This is about Canada's trucking industry and Ontario's truck driving schools that popped up overnight.
Wow.
So, number two, first off, you've probably seen this chart making the rounds, proving Canada isn't a big source of drugs in America. When I talk stats, I always tell people to take a careful note of what it's showing. In this case, it's drug seizures on the Canada and a Mexican border, straightforward. So it shows there that, we're 1%. Like
And
this.
this is the trend. This is the one that everybody's going. This is the whole mainstream narrative is going after this 1% thing, right?
That's right. So, 3. Now, if you're in America, you've probably been reading stories like this. Take note of where these truckers are being arrested. Spoiler, not the border. Just one of these buses was 6% of the volume of drugs seized at the border, but obviously wouldn't be in the border data. So the one here says Canadian-based truck driver Robert Scapa, from Mexico. Cops pulled over a truck on the way station on Interstate 94. What is going on? Oh, is this all the same story? Okay, sorry, I'm doing it back here. So, a Canadian trucker was arrested with 123.9 kilograms of cocaine in Indiana. So, not Alberta, sorry. An Ontario truck driver shuttled cocaine and heroin into Canada for high volume drug ring has the blah, blah, blah. The Indian national was on a work permit in Canada when he started hauling loads of drugs allegedly for a mafia-linked Montrealer, Mexican cartels, and American narcos. That's the one I was looking for. So 123. So what's that, about 250 pounds of cocaine?
Yeah.
How do I get out of this now? That's just the one thing. Okay, am I not sharing anymore?
No, you're not sharing anymore.
4, Canada and America have arguably the closest trade relationship of any two countries. Every day, 3.5 billion in goods flow through back and forth, with an average of 13.7 thousand trucks crossing a day. As a result, a high degree of trust is granted to logistic companies, especially bonded and trusted firms. Companies like FedEx need to move materials really fast. It used to be hard to become a cross-border trucker since companies don't want to risk hiring a smuggler. In 2019, Ontario snuck in legislation to lower regulations to make private career colleges. Then, with the help of the government-owned joint venture firm, no one knows our gov's own, they combed rural parts of developing countries to drum up business for colleges that popped up overnight. Trucking was huge. Between 2017 and 2024, Ontario went from 80 truck driving schools to 280. Wow.
Oh my God.
The province has 6 auditors for 600 private career colleges, almost half for trucks, apparently. No enforcement standards. The industry thinks it's absurd. 8, as you might have guessed, that's a really bad combination. CBC Marketplace did an investigation recently where they try to buy a truck driver certification, and then the person threatens to set them on fire when they try to back out of the deal. You want to watch the clip? Or
no? I think we've seen it a while back.
9, it's also important to remember Canada had no checks or balances for its study program, no background checks or school verification. They just show up at the airport with proof of funds and a letter they won't verify. That's it. That's how it worked until last year. 10, to recap, money laundering capital of the world, no school regulations, criminal run certifications, desperate folks from developing countries with no standard of entry, and no scrutiny for cross-border traffic. Still surprised this is happening. So I thought that was a pretty good thread.
Yeah, it's really, really good. Yeah. Well, let's just keep on with the drug stuff here for a bit then. So this is in today's episode of Canada's Justice System is a Joke, and this is from Kirk Lubimov. A Winnipeg man, truck driver, Komalpreet Sidhu, was busted with trafficking over 15 million Is that what, right? 15 million of meth into Canada? One of the largest narcotic seizures
50.
in seizures in the prairie's history. And he was released on bail. So he isn't a Canadian citizen. And after being here for almost 10 years, he still barely speaks English, needing a Punjabi translator. These are the kind of people we are immigrating to Canada and are in our trucking industry. Notice a trend yet? So it says here, like, at times he sat crying, looking at his wife as his freedom was debated. The hearing was briefly halted as a translator was needed to explain court proceedings in Punjabi to Sidhu. 406 kilograms. So that's about 1,000 pounds of meth.
That's a lot of meth.
And then this is from Stephen, which is the guy that you were just sharing. Hiding a lot more. Did you hear about this one? This is so weird, dude. Why now? A whopping 19 fentanyl trafficking cases
I
dropped
have this one. Yeah, I have the
over
actual.
7 days. Why would Canada do that? Police
I
bust.
have the article.
Oh, do you? Okay. Police bust massive ring. It makes the news. The government drops charges. What? Fentanyl trafficking. There's no convictions in the span of a week. So this is the weird timing too, with everything going on with Trump, right? It's like, are they just releasing all them and then they're going to crack down after, kind of like they get let into the grandfather's soft crime clause or something? 20 cases, in almost 20 cases, alleged drug dealers. So between January 14th and 21st, they received notification of stayed charges in 19 cases that include charges of possession of drugs for the purpose of trafficking, drug trafficking, and related breach charges. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if that's, we don't have any context to compare that to like how many charges are normally dropped or if the timing is coincidental at all. But
we have this. Prosecution budget issues leading to fentanyl trafficking charges getting dropped. So, serious criminal charges are getting thrown out because of budget cuts in the federal prosecution service. An Ontario police chief says. Hamilton, Ontario Police Chief Frank Bergen voiced frustration and disappointment at police services board meeting after learning that the Public Prosecution Services of Canada, the PPSC, dropped 19 drug trafficking charges laid by Hamilton officers earlier this month. The Public Prosecution Service of Canada handles prosecutions for federal statutes, such as charges under the Controlled Drugs and Substances Act, including trafficking. Bergen said in many serious cases, notably involving the trafficking of fentanyl, have been stayed or withdrawn without reasonable explanation. Bergen said the issue was likely related to a billing cap imposed by the government on federal prosecutors. Talk about a backhanded way to fucking decriminalize shit. The prosecution service said working within a budget is neither no nor unique amount. What? Is neither new nor unique amount. Oh, I don't know what the fuck that's supposed to say. As with all the public agencies, we are imagining this is this is True North, actually. As with all the public agencies, we are imagining our operations within our allocated budget, a spokesman told True North. This is one of our key responsibilities and is tied to the sound stewardship of public funds. The PPSC's budget allocation is a matter of public record. The PPSC has always had budgets allocated to agent firms in relation to the prosecutions they undertake on behalf of the PPSC. These budget cuts are prompting concerns among Ontario police services about why certain drug cases have been stayed or withdrawn since the start of the year, including charges against a Hamilton man who was once among Canada's most wanted. These cases involve serious drug trafficking of fentanyl, cocaine, and opioids that directly affect our community, especially our most vulnerable, Bergen said. It is our understanding that these dispositions were not related to reasonable prospect of conviction, public interest, or the quality of police investigations. One of the drug cases that Hamilton police say was inexplicably suspended in mid-January involved Hamilton Solomon, who was among Canada's top 25 most wanted when he was arrested for 2023 for allegedly selling drugs. He still faces murder charges. Anyway, I hope the federal government is paying attention that we need their assistance specific to the illegal proliferation and exploitation of the most vulnerable in our community. Urge and continue. Make no mistake, our mandate is to stop drug trafficking in our city, and our members will continue to dismantle these illegal drug operations.
Well, that's weird because I missed this part about Stephen's post. That you're talking about Hamilton, right? Look at Stephen saying Hamilton home prices went up 3 times in 8 years, like 3 times. So look at back in 2015. I mean, even 2005, they were just over 200,000. And then it goes up to, in 2015, it was at 400,000. Then it went up to 1.2 million almost. He says, love Hamilton, but we're not paying the government $10K for property records to prove the laundering, only for government to act shocked and ignore it. Already did that in TO. I'll do the analysis, but not paying for records. Hey, Mark Carney, does your platform have a plan to deal with the laundering and fentanyl? I think Canada would love to hear it since you may be PM in as little as 2 months. Pierre's voice concern. Freeland demonstrated she's team fentanyl by hiding the HSBC investigation.
Team Fent. I want to be the Fent czar. I can do it. And I don't have a Fent problem. So, you know. You like
Here's Tibernicus. I might be able to shed light on the problem. There's a history of corruption in the Crown Prosecutor's office involving certain large criminal law firms in Hamilton. I can speak to at least 2. This is just a comment. I can speak to at least 2 cases where such was indicated. One I was involved with. The other Ontario Attorney General's office investigated, and of course the findings were not made fully public. And then Stephen replies, wow. Then he leads on how I can learn some more about it without ending up in a Hamilton dumpster. It's true. When you ask Grok, it lists all these names native to the Yuzhong district of Chongqing, China.